So let's discuss how to counter China. In order to counter China, India needs serious economic reforms. The June 15 clash between India and China in the Galwan Valley offers a glimpse of what may lie ahead for India. Despite New Delhi nuanced diplomacy, China's authoritarian turn at home and assertive behavior abroad underscore a growing problem. India's China challenge couldn't come at a worse time. While working to contain the COVID 19 pandemic, India finds itself struggling to navigate an economic emergency. Success and keeping Beijing at bay will hinge upon completing the transformation begun in 1991. China's economic opening up has left India behind, contributing to a military imbalance. In 1987, both countries' nominal GDP were almost equal. China's economy was nearly five times larger than India's in 2019, not coincidentally from rough parity in 1989. China's military spending last year more than tripled India's. India's pronounced economic slump predicting the epidemic won't help right this equation. The government's near term attention may be consumed by tending to the swelling ranks of the poor, limited physical and monetary tools and dried up private financing constrain India's options, heightened vigilance along the LAC demands summoning scarce resources. Defense budgets were already tightening. If India cannot close the economic gap and build military muscle, Beijing may feel emboldened to probe the subcontinent's land and maritime periphery. So, the next step is slowdown in reforms, which explains about slowdown in reforms. The root causes of India's economic woes can be traced to a slowdown in reforms. In 1991, India enacted changes allowing markets to set commodity prices but did not similarly liberalize land, labor, and capital nearly 30 years after historic reforms. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has the opportunity to launch big structural change to eventually resume growth above 8% and keep China at arm's length. This spring, the government has delivered mixed messages about revitalized reform agenda. Officials have discussed land and labor changes while reaffirming an interest in integrating India into global value chains. Several states have temporarily lifted labor restriction, eliciting concerns about going too far, while others intend to make land acquisition easier, but Delhi's drumbeat of self-reliance could inhibit growth and constrain investment in a more vigorous foreign and defense policy. To be clear, greater self-sufficiency can be salutary. Homegrown manufacturing of critical medicinal ingredients or digital safeguards on citizens' personal data would reduce the dependence. Conversely, imposing protective barriers to build up local defense industry would hamper acquisitions, helping balance Beijing. In the coming years, India's most important contest with China will likely unfold in sea suits and boardrooms. Right now, China faces intense scrutiny resulting from the pandemic, geopolitical competition, trade wars, and economic caution. Businesses and revisiting whether or not to diversify suddenly exposed international value chains. India's rivals are staking their claim on regulatory predictability, stable tax policies, and fewer trade obstacles. While India remains outside the regional comprehensive economic partnership, competitors are wooing companies seeking lower trade barriers. Asian countries are pushing ahead. Vietnam just inked a trade deal with the European Union that threatens to slice into India's exports. India urgently needs increased export and investment to provide more well paying jobs, technology, and know how businesses purchase cost efficient inputs overseas for use in higher value manufactured exports before committing to long term multi billion investments. Companies often want to test India's market through international sales. Liberalization remains the tried and true path to competitiveness. If India can unite, if India can unite its people and rapidly strengthen capabilities, it will likely discover that China is kept more honest. The choices that India makes to recapture consistent high growth will determine its future. Bold reforms offer the best option to manage Beijing and achieve greater independence on the world stage. Thank you.